Magic finding is something people associate with apothecary farming, Crimson Temple, Defied Cathedral, strong boxes, and being fairly expensive to get started. Well, but what about low investment magic finding? Hey, I'm Cyclon, and this is exactly what I took a look at, and the results are very interesting. Maybe not the highest profit per hour right now, but very interesting still. Now, before I'm going to take a look at what the strategy actually is, two things I need to mention. First thing, to get results that are similar than mine, you will need some quantity and rarity on your character. If we take a look, I'm using a Divination Distillate, I'm using Gold Rum, I'm using a Ventus Gambit with Quantum Focus, Quality and Resistances. The rarity is negative in this case. Of course, you would like to prefer a high quantity and high rarity roll. I was able to cancel it out with other gear, but it isn't optional to get the reduced rarity on this. Just don't copy the reduced rarity. If you can't, focus the resistances first, I guess. Then I also used the Pariah into later part of the maps, and I used the Greed's Embrace about of the middle of the maps. So I've scaled the rarity up and the quantity up as I went with it. However, funny enough, the biggest drops I've gotten when I had the least amount of quantity on my character. The Brother's Gift I got in the first 25 maps, both. And after that I haven't seen anymore, I just seen Brother's Stashes, while I still had more quantity than in the early maps. But regardless of that, so you do want to have some quantity and some rarity to see that amount of uniques that I'm going to show, as well as that amount of items in general that I'm going to show. As we take a look here on the character screen on Misk, I'm running at 59 without Flask, and with Flask then at 71, and I'm running at 40 and with Flask at 60. Of course, you can also get more rarity, and depending on the situation you might want that, but this is what I've ran is based on my results in that. Now, the second interesting thing, or well, the really big interesting thing is the amount of high rarity uniques I've gotten. We're going to focus just on the amount of uniques, not of their actual value at the moment, because right now, while they might not be worth that much, if we take a look here, and if we just assume we are, like, let's say we're week 1. Week 1 uniques are worth a lot more than they are later into the league, because there's not that much supply and still a high demand. So while right now the uniques might not be worth that much, if I would have run this week 1, there could have been a lot more. And this means that you could just do this as a viable league starting strategy to start at white maps, do magic finding, and as your character gets more powerful, you're going to get to yellow maps magic finding, and then to red maps magic finding. And you don't have to instantly invest into strong boxes. You can just fill the map with stuff, get some rarity on the character, get rusted or polished reliquary scarabs, and just start hunting uniques. And it should be fairly profitable in the early weeks, or like week 1 and the beginning of week 2. So just as few examples, Aegis Aura, very high demand unique, at this point not worth that much, but at the beginning could have been worth a lot. Badge of the Brotherhood used to be a very powerful unique, at the moment isn't that much in demand, but still could be at league start. Diala's Modification, or however that's called. Yeah, Diala's Modification. Very powerful unique, high demand on league start. Tabula still worth a bit of league start. Heat Shivers, especially powerful and always in somewhat of a demand. Potential of, what was the name of this? Safel's Frame is wanted by some builds. Lightning Coil, Aziri's Foil, Gloomfang, Profane Proxy, Death Rush, Thunder Fist. There are a lot of uniques that might not be a Headhunter or Mageblood or a Scryer, but there is a potential that they're worth like maybe a few divs or hundreds of chaos. And again, in the beginning of a league start scenario, there's a lot of good stuff in just selling the uniques, and you can make a lot there. So while again, right now isn't that good, it didn't make that much, didn't got as many Brothers Gift as I hoped to get. It still looked very promising for future leagues to keep in mind, and to have now the knowledge that magic finding early is a viable thing to do and should be considered by people, especially people that like to do duo play. But regardless, that was this. Now let's take an actual look at the strategy. If we take a look at the spreadsheet, I have a new tab, low investing magic finding, low investment cemetery farming, and we're taking a look at the passive tree in a moment. Just very quickly, what are we using? On the map device, we're using Abyss. We're going to combine it with a polished Abyss Scarab and an Abyss Sextant. We want a polished Abyss Scarab because it has 50% increased monsters, so even more enemies that drop loot, and we're good to go. Then we're going to use Rusted Breach. In this case, we don't need polished or gilded because we just care about the amount of breaches, not the quality of the breaches. So we just need a rusted here and combining it with a breach sextant. And then to get our desired div cards and desired uniques, we're going to use polished reliquary and polished divination. The trade links here are looking for bulk. So if you load this, you're going to see that it has chaos to the designated Scarab in a quantity of 50, and the sextants aren't looking for bulk. It's just any sextant that has conditioned force for users and then of the designated sextant. And with this, right now, of course, my estimated results are going to be very similar to the consistent results because it's still missing the notable returns, so unique cells and then divination card cells. But I'm going to let that post-selling Cyclon going to fill you in on what I've actually made. For now, I'm going to take a look at the passive tree. The passive tree is honestly very simple. We're taking Abyss, getting more Abysses in the map, or more chances for more Abysses, getting more monsters from our Abysses. Here getting the Stygian Spires dropping +1 level, so we can get 86 Stygian Vices in case they still good either to craft or to sell. And then we take the whole Abyss chain up here, or however you want to call this, because we want the 4 pits guaranteed. It's giving a lot of monsters, it's giving us more monsters for each previous pit, so just a lot of enemies from Abyss. And then we take some breach. We are again just looking for quantity over quality. So we have the chance for more breaches. We have the breach sense here. We have the more magic monsters in the breach. We have this node for breach chance. These nodes for breach sense. We don't need these two. These are filler nodes. If you don't have 128 passive points, you can drop those two first. If you still need to drop more points, I would drop the breach chance next. And after that, I will start dropping on the quantity wheel first. And then also more breach density up here. Then we take Eater of Worlds with Eldritch Gaze, with Rampant Growth, Shadow of Hunger and all the pack size node. And then Singular Focus and 2 shapings for getting our map sustain a bit still. If you're still in the early stages, you don't have 4 Void Stones, you should consider shaping the seas and shaping the valleys before taking the quantity wheel. And then we are blocking everything except Abyss, except Breach, and except Delirium Mirror. And this should be a good to go strategy to just go and start magic finding. And as you've already seen, part of the worlds you have seen, and for the rest, I'm going to send you to post-selling Cyclon, and see you in a bit. Alright, a lot of things are sold, not everything, but I think this is good enough. The square did sell fairly quickly, however I don't think it is reasonable to include it in my profit calculation, as this is what I expect to get as a somewhat average amount, and if I would add a square on it, it would just completely falsify the result. So with this, let's take a look at the actual numbers. With what has sold so far, so I don't know when the other things will sell. It might take some time, so I won't be including them in the final calculation now. So we have made 413 chaos with notable drops and 120C with a div card that was randomly dropped from, I don't remember if it was Strongbox, a daily reward, or just a reward from the altar. It was a Divine Beauty, so it could have been either of those three. Regardless, it was a random drop, so it is nice to have, but it was anything expected, so I just had it on other div card return. So this, if we take a look at this, so let's say we take the Polished Reliquary Scarabs and weight them against the selling of the uniques. That is 200, about 200 chaos just from the uniques, which isn't bad. It is not a lot. In the league stat scenario, it could have been more, but it's definitely something. right? And then we have the rest of the cost, which is about 1.6k chaos. And we have then our divine orbs, which did got 12, 2 got duped. Then we have Brother's Gift, which we did got 2, which I hopefully assume is a minimum expected amount. I think I could have, because I did got them all in the beginning, right? And I then got 2 Brother's Stashes. There's about a 50-50 in between them when you get a Brother's card. I think I could have expected, I did expect more. I was hoping to get more, and I think I could have expected more. They should have at least gotten 5 total cards dropped, just based on how quickly the first 4 dropped. But I don't know if I got actually unlucky, or maybe if you now run 100 maps and you're going to get like maybe 6 Brothers cards total dropped. I don't know. I'm going to assume based on those 2 I got that this is a minimum expected amount, because of when they dropped, but it could be wrong. And if anybody has data for me, of course, if you decide to run this and you want to share your data, you can send me over Discord as excellence export to CSV. I will import it, I can add the data here, and then we are good to go. Or you can just write me the numbers. I mean, compared to other things, there isn't really a lot of things to note down. Chaos Orb, Awakened Sextants, Divine Orbs, Brother Stashes, Brother Gifts, and Dragon's Heart, because that can drop too. But regardless, so based on about this, we're looking at about 4k profit after we have our investment. And again, that is by no means bad. Having a strategy that gives you about 50c per map, on average of course, isn't any bad. It's a good thing to run, and as magic finding, if you do enjoy that, that's definitely a good thing to do until you can afford the big investing strategy where you go with strong boxes. All that being said, so it was definitely very interesting, and I'm going to keep this in mind for future leagues where we have a league mechanic that is directly scaling with quantity, something like Sentinel or something like Scourge. And I'm going to come back to this to know that on a league start scenario, magic finding might be really good that league. All that being said, so have a wonderful day and hopefully a lot of fun for the rest of the league. Goodbye.